Disappointed at, not having the fans, because that's what I play for. I play for my family. I play for my fans. They're saying no one could actually come to the game if they decide to go to that point. So I'll be disappointed in that. But at the same time, you gotta listen to the people that's keeping the track on what's going on.
Probably feel like an open scrimmage or something, or closed scrimmage. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the field would be. It'll be very different if it does come to that. Hopefully, the fans aren't mad or whatever. So it's up to them. I think we just should leave it up to the fans if they want to come to the games or not.
All right. You just heard from LeBron and Kawhi there. And obviously, as the severity of the coronavirus continues, the NBA is trying to protect its players. There will be a call with owners later today, and they will talk about different measures. Everything is on the table, potentially playing at neutral sites or cities where there hasn't been an outbreak, and not allowing fans in, and many other things they will be discussing. But to continue our conversation, I know, Max, you had a question. You had to follow up with Windy.
Yeah, originally, none of us are doctors. Yes, we understand this, but we all read reliable sources of information. And because social distancing, it seems to slow the transmission. I always thought where we're heading is playing in front of empty arenas or in empty gyms, because if you have laws now enacted, emergency states saying, okay, no gatherings were no more than 250 people. So that excludes an arena of 20,000, but it could include two teams with training staff ready, 50 people, 100 people. But you said something to me, Wendy, before we got on that made me think inevitably where we're going is to the cancellation of kind of everything for the time being. Or postponement of everything for the time being. What is it?
Yesterday in England, Man City and Arsenal, this is one of the biggest franchises. They canceled the game or postponed the game because one of their owners 2 weeks ago shook some guy's hands. Because of the way the quarantine is going to probably work by order of the government, and not just the federal government, but local governments, eventually there's going to be an issue where somebody's going to know somebody, and there's going to be a cascading effect of quarantines. That's not me reporting.
So in other words,
that's me just looking at society.
So in other words, one player on one team comes down with
one player's wife,
comes down with corona,
one player's kid,
and is diagnosed with, and therefore that player, everyone he's come in contact with, etc., needs to be isolated, and therefore you have a cessation of games.
I think my belief is that is where we are headed. That is not what the NBA is deciding today. Today they are dealing with more of the issue with the fans and then making plans for the future. I am just looking at what happened across. I've talked to many people involved with the Chinese Basketball Association, and this is just the point that they've reached over there. And now we're seeing it in Italy. I just think that's the inevitable place we're heading. It's not to be alarmist. I think it's just realist.
The only precedent that has been set as of right now is obviously media can't be in the locker room.
I think as disseminators of information, I think the important point and perspective, I might add, I think the important point to point out is what's legitimately fearful. Let's think about this for a second. I'm not one of those people that walks around being scared of anything too often. And I'm like, every single day, every single second, wash your hand, wash your hand. I've washed my hands like 15 times in 3-4 hours.
My hands are so rough.
You understand what I'm saying? Somebody touch, I mean, hand sanitizer and beyond. So now let's transition that to the world of basketball. Okay? You're talking about guys playing in tank tops. You're talking about guys playing in shorts. Blood sometimes.
Sweat for sure.
Sweat for sure. Also, even sweat on the damn basketball. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that you got to think about. You could bring up the wife. You could bring up the kid. I'm saying you don't even have to go there. In other words, it's not even about somebody in your family having it. It could be you on the basketball court. And then you take that home.
Yeah, and some people don't have symptoms at first.
But now.
No, you're asymptomatic for like the first 10 days.
What you don't want to do is be on national television trying to scare the hell out of people. What I'm making the case of, they've already scared the hell out of us.
I know, and I don't think, look, I want to be clear. There's two different things here. One is the virus. That's for the health people and those professionals. Make a wall.
Yeah.
Now we have the reaction. That's what we're focusing on in the sports world, is the reaction to the virus. I'm not telling you I know what's going on with the virus. I'm telling you what's happening with the reaction. And I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago in Italy, they were saying this exact same thing. Oh, we're just going to play these Serie A games. Well, we're only going to not play games in the North. We're only going to not have fans in the North. That, I'm telling you, If you think this train is stopping, it's not stopping. It's going. You're in denial if you don't think that.
But Wendy, that's the whole point. The whole point is the reaction. The story is not just the virus itself. It's primarily the reaction to it.
That's
You
right.
got the White House going on national television saying your life has changed as you know it. You can't live like you lived months ago. You've got politicians. I mean, they sent the National Guard to New Rochelle. This is what they're talking about here. I'm saying when you see stuff, that is the reaction. So the reaction is very, very profound because that's what we all have to deal with because that's where the fear
And now
comes
we
in.
talk about the responsibility of the leagues. I understand the NBA's reaction so far. In other words, even if inevitably it seems rational that it's heading in a certain direction of postponement, of course, that's not the first thing you want to try to do. The first thing you want to do is to try to protect your business. And so first it's, how do we do this with fans?
Well, the first thing
and
they're
then
doing
it's, how do we do this with the games
their
itself?
first order of business is to protect the players.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing
Well,
now.
that's because
There's no business without health.
But that's the point. You can what is the essential core of the business? It's the competition between the players. That's going to be the last
But Max-
thing to stop.
But Max, let me go to you, Ivy League grad. They canceled the basketball conference tournament, but you say that who is it? Yale? You can go to NCAA tournament. Now, what type of damn sense that makes?
Do you think there will be an NCAA tournament?
I'm not
know.
sure there will, but what I'm saying is, as a conference, you're so concerned that you cancel the conference tournament, but you say one of your teams could go to the NCAA tournament. It was like that was a piece of hypocrisy that needed to be
There's
pointed out.
outrage right now in some corners that the Ivy League tournament was canceled. In 10 days, we're not even going to remember it because so many different things are going to happen in the next 10 days that's just going to be one little piece of thing that happened. That's my feel about what I think is going. And again, not to be scareful, not to be fearful, just the reality of what I've seen elsewhere in the world is what I think is going to happen.
Have we heard anything from the NCAA?
You know, here's the issue. I can't speak on the NCAA. I can speak on the NBA, and I'm sure they're having the same thing. They don't have a plan for this. The NBA has 70 years of experience of operating their league. They have plans for many things. They execute many things very well. They have all kinds of contingencies. This didn't exist.
Uncharted territory.
So part of what's going on as they talk with their owners and stuff like that is they're literally going along as they do it. I was talking to a team yesterday, and I was talking about asking, do you think the league could be suspended? And they're like, they're not there yet. They're focusing on.
Let me tell you what they would do if they could, I think. You would have everybody in the league tested and quarantine them all now and have them play in empty gyms right now. And the problem is the CDC won't even test samples from doctors unless you just got back from a high risk nation. You were in direct contact with someone who already had it. They're not even
Max.
available.
I apologize, Max. How do you know that?
It's widely reported. Widely reported.
That they won't test samples?
Unless doctors, of course, there aren't enough.
There aren't enough tests.
So if you come back, if you just came back from a high-risk country, if you know you were in direct contact with someone with it, then the CDC will
one of the
accept the
things
test.
that the NBA
Otherwise, they.
That's one of the things that the NBA is trying to deal with right now.
Sure.
Forget about what they're going to do with the game in April. Right now, they're like, where can we send our players and coaches if they need to be tested? Where in your city can we take it? If there needs to be a quarantine, where in your city can we go? That's where they're at in this planning. The rest of the stuff is going to just come as it goes because there's just even basic stuff that they don't have a contingency plan for, not because they're irresponsible, it's because it's never happened.
Excellent perspective. Thank you so much for being with us. And also everything that's happening in Europe with soccer and over in China.
And forgive me for saying this.
Great
I think the
information.
hard part about it is because, again, even though, like, for example, in the aftermath of 9/11, people talked about the fear factor in terms of flying and things of that nature. This is different because we're talking about a virus here, okay? But the thing that also bothers me about this, that really troubles me is that something like this can derail nations, as we're seeing right now. It's compromising a lot of folks in terms of what they want to do, and you have enemies all over the place that, I mean, it's just ammunition.
Stephen, I think it's going to pause us. I don't think it's going to derail us. If you look at the other countries.
Fair enough. Fair. Pause is a more appropriate word than derail. I'll give you that.
All right. The paramount focus is everyone's health, of course. Thank you again.